and I was talking to my partner Mustafa, and I was explaining to him that I feel that Otlob is my baby. It's not easy to sell your baby, but Mustafa was very realistic. He told me, "No, Otlob is not your baby. Otlob is a business that we are doing to make money, and we both have new ideas to develop. We have new things to do. We want to do them. So you claim we'll make this money in 3 years. Why wait for 3 years to make it until we start our new business? Let's make it right now and go and do our new businesses." And I agreed. I agreed to him. So we sold.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Startups Arabia podcast. And I have the pleasure to be hosting Ayman Rashed with me. Ayman is the founder of one of the first startups ever to be built in the whole region. So I would say easily it's one of the first 5 startups in the region and one of the first exits in the region. So I think there's a lot we can learn from his experience and also a lot we can know about how the region works and how startups are different in the region from his experience. I'd like to say some small thing about Otlob before we start, which is that Otlob was a food delivery website because there were no apps at the time. It was, I think, 1999,
Yes.
and it started like 14 years before DoorDash and Deliveroo and all these things. And I'll tell a small story that Ayman doesn't know, which is that there was a guy visiting from London in the United Kingdom to Egypt as an expert from Vodafone headquarters to Vodafone Egypt. And they were like these like all tech people. We tend to eat a lot while we're working, and so they were going to order food. And then he saw them opening this website called Otlob.com, and he was like amazed. This was like 2002 or 2003. He was amazed. He was so amazed that we had this cool startup in Egypt that he called people back home in London right then and told them, "Wow, you can't imagine what's happening here in Egypt. I'm ordering food online." So, with that intro, let me welcome you, Ayman. Welcome to the podcast.
أهلا يا علي. I'm really glad that I'm hosted by you. I would really like to have a nice conversation. I'm
Thank you,
sure we'll
Ayman.
have one.
Yeah, it's going to be a great conversation, I'm sure. So it would be great if we start by hearing from you the story of Otlob. How did the idea come about? What made you want to do Otlob? At the time, there were no mobile apps, no mobile phones with GPS, etc. But you decided to do it as a website. So tell me more about what Otlob did and how the idea started.
Nobody had then thought about mobile apps. There were no mobile apps in the world. The future was the websites. Internet was the future then. Actually, I am having been working in Ritze in 1993 gave me the opportunity to be working in the first place that had internet in Egypt. So I was used to the internet from its beginning in Egypt. I know about it. I know how to use it. And then in 1999, I was around 29 years old and thinking of starting my own business. I was not happy at the work I was working. I wasn't happy with my career, and I wanted to start my own business. Actually, a year before that, I had just returned from Saudi Arabia. I went to work in Saudi Arabia for a year, and then I returned back, and I was thinking that I can, if I was successful in Saudi Arabia, then I can start my own business here with my connections and with my skills. But it wasn't easy to find an idea. Actually, I and my friends were used to meet and always think of new ideas to start businesses. But whenever they come with an idea, I always said, "No, this idea we will not be able uh, to build it. It will not succeed." This country, the only thing that can succeed in this country is opening a cafe or a restaurant. And they always said that I was putting them down for their ideas, but I was kind of uh, I was not optimistic, but I was not pessimistic. That I was a realistic person. Then suddenly I was driving, talking to my wife. We were going to Alexandria, and I was telling her that I'm not happy in the company I was working for, and if just I find the idea that I can start, I would start it immediately. And then suddenly, I saw the whole idea in my mind as if it's live in front of me. Um, I knew the problem. The problem was there. The problem has always been there. I think the problem is still there. Of course, it differs because of different circumstances, but different technologies available in the market. But still, every one of us, every day, he wants to have luck. Especially that now we are used to working until 5 or 6 or 7, perhaps. So we now have become to get lunch at work. So what happens is that one person comes to you at the office, your colleague, he says, "Aren't we going to have lunch today?" "Oh, yes, I'm hungry as well." "So what would we eat?" Uh, every day, we don't know what to eat because we don't have menus of the restaurants. We don't know the restaurants. They are not listed in front of us. We don't have the menus. We don't have the prices. And even if we know the menu and the price and the restaurant, then we go to the other problem is the telephone. We want to call the restaurant. We don't have the numbers. And if we have the numbers, in 1999 in Egypt, there were no good telephone lines. Mobiles were just still very new, very expensive. In any company or enterprise, you will find only 2 or 3 landlines that you have to dial nine to get the line to call the restaurant, and nine is always busy. So you have to keep calling nine until you get the line, and then you call the restaurant. And to our surprise, restaurants as well don't have a lot of lines at that time. They didn't have a lot of lines. So it was the time where the waiting feature came to the market, where the order taker, he would answer your call, and then he says, "Would you please wait a moment?" And then he goes to another call, take the order, and then comes back to you. "Yes, what were we saying?" And then he takes your order, and then in the middle, "So would you wait a minute?" And he goes and open another call, and so on. It was very hectic. Sometimes the one who is responsible to call our colleague, I mean, who has taken the responsibility to call the restaurant for us, he gets busy and he doesn't call the restaurant. And an hour later, you go back to him and tell him, "Where's the food? Why didn't it come?" "Oh, I forgot to call the restaurant. It was busy. I couldn't call them," and so on. So what I thought of internet then was kind of static content. Yeah, it was the Yahoo time with this all of the static content. So I thought, why won't we put all the static content on the internet? And then, if you're facing a problem with calling, I would provide you with a secretary. I'll supply you with a secretary who will just take your order, and then he will call. He will make the call for you. It's his only job is to make the call for you. And this was my idea. I would provide you with a secretary to make the order for you. So you just open the website, you get all the information from it, and then our call center, or you will put the order online, and our call center will make the call to the restaurant for you. Of course, now in 2022, you would ask me, "Oh, you were not thinking of integrating with the restaurant?" Yes, I thought of that, but that was impossible then. It was literally impossible. No integrations available. It was very difficult. It was very expensive.
They
It
weren't
was
even
not.
connected to the net. Yeah.
We were connected to the net via a dial-up connection.
Yeah.
There were no
Exactly. The
ADSL by
restaurants were. Yeah.
then. Restaurants were not connected to the internet, of
Yeah.
course. And even if you go to a restaurant owner, then I remember I met an owner and I was trying to explain to him the idea that we will call him to make the order for another guy and we are going to take a commission from him on this call. He didn't understand. He didn't understand the idea of internet at all at then. So he was asking me, "Are you going to send me a fax?" Or so I don't have a fax machine. I told him, "No, I'm not going to use a fax. I'm just going to call you." So he said, "What's the internet for then?" I told him, "This is between me and my customer. You don't see that. I just call you, and all what I want from you is just deliver the order to the guy and you take your money." No, internet literacy was very low. Nobody knew this, but internet was growing as hell. Everybody was starting to use the internet, and the other side is the delivery itself, the delivery business, which is a phenomenon in Egypt, and I think it has become phenomenon everywhere now. It was just starting, but in Egypt, we were leaders in the whole world actually in delivery.
It's true.
I remember when I met the McDonald's team and talking about the delivery and this thing. McDonald's then told me that they don't have delivery service in the whole world except in Egypt and I
Exactly.
think Mexico. It's only Egypt and Mexico then. So delivery was still new concept.
Right.
But I saw that delivery is coming. It has to come. Everybody is using delivery. Will be using delivery. It's it's uh, it's a solution to many problems in Egypt. The traffic problems, the call problem, different problems. And at the same time, internet. Everybody is trying to use the internet. I mean, the customers they are becoming to dial-ups. Even if it's dial-up, everybody is on the internet all the time. Now in 2022, everybody is opening his Facebook all the time. Is what your Facebook, your Twitter, your social media. By then, there were kind of, those old social media. Of course, you've been there and you remember
Yeah.
what was the name? ICQ?
MySpace and the forums and ICQ and all
ICQ,
these
ICQ,
things. Yeah. Yeah.
and Yahoo and MSN
Yahoo
Messenger and Yahoo
Messenger came after
and
that. Yeah.
all of this. My team actually, they have developed the idea to use ICQ. I didn't know that. I was not an ICQ user. I never used this kind of messaging services. But our team, the order takers, they took the orders and then they called the restaurant. So sometimes restaurants have problems with the order. Like, for example, it's a small restaurant and they have on the menu, they sell fish, for example. So you ask for fish and they tell you, sorry, we don't have fish today. So what you have to do is you need to go back to your customer telling him that there's no fish because he has ordered fish over Otlob and you want to have Otlob as a reliable business. But we don't have a way to call the customer unless he gives us his number. He gives us his number and he doesn't have a mobile number, by the way. It's a landline number.
Of
And we
course.
try to call him and it's busy, 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 busy because he is on the internet. He is, and what's he doing on the net? So actually, my order takers, they got the idea of, oh, if he's on the net, then he's on ICQ. Let's go to
Exactly.
ICQ and search for him. And they used to go for ICQ and search for their customers and talk to him. I'm I'm this order taker from Otlob, and you have ordered this thing. Yes, I have. I'm sorry, this fish is not
Yeah.
available. You know.
So I want to take a step back from these and kind of say, now you're driving to Alexandria, you get this idea. What was the first step you did? Did you leave your job? Did you go look
No,
for
no,
someone to
no.
work with?
Actually,
Did you? I mean, what
actually,
was
what
the
I
first
did,
steps you took?
my first step when I was in the car, I told Bilal, please give me my mobile, and I called a friend, a close friend, and I told him the idea. I told him I want you to be in with me in it, to partner with me in it. But I found a very pessimistic answer. He was
Hmm.
reluctant to work on the idea, and he said, "Oh yeah, I know this idea. We have done it before." I understood it in deep in me that he did not understand the idea. He did not understand how big it is, how big it can be. So, and he told me, "Look, I know you're excited now with the idea, but let's wait until you come back from Alexandria and talk." Actually, I couldn't wait. I told my wife, "Look, uh, I want to go back. I don't want to go to Alex.
Wow.
But if you want to go, then I'll go. But um,
I'll
don't
work.
consider me with you. I'll be all the time overwhelmed with the idea. I'll be thinking of the idea all the time. So excuse me." She said, "Okay,
Hmm.
let's go on. Let's continue our trip." And I understand that you will be overwhelmed. And that was actually what happened. I was overwhelmed with the idea that I did not remember anything in this trip until now. I don't even remember where we stayed. But when I came back, I didn't leave the job. No, I started working on the idea, and I started looking how I can start implementing it. And one of my friends, whom, as I told you, we were used to sit together and discuss new ideas, he called me. He said, "Where are you hiding these days?" So I told him I have a new idea and I'm working on it. He said, "Okay, let's meet, discuss." As soon as I met him, he said, "I'm in with you." So he was in with me, and we started working. We needed somebody to develop the website. Actually, both of us were technical, but we did not know how to develop websites by then. It was not our experience, so we hired a new ITI fresh graduate who developed it for us. And during the development period, we hired a team for sales and a team for the order taking, and we tried to get uh, as many deals as possible with restaurants, and as many restaurants in our database as possible, even if we don't have a deal with them.
Right. And this was all while working full time.
Yes, I was working full time, and Mustafa as well was working full time at the same time. We worked in the afternoons on the idea,
Hmm.
and in it took us around 5 months to be live, between 5 and 6 months.
Hmm.
And when we wanted to launch, we started launching. We uh, we rented an apartment in Nasr City.
Hmm.
Uh, at that time, it was in the suburbs of Nasr City. It's kind
Right.
of it was in the desert. Now it's in the middle of Nasr City, by the way. But it was at the end of the Nasr City then, and it was an empty apartment. We just put two tables, 3 or 4 chairs, and the 3 or 4 PCs, and a telephone line, two telephone lines actually, because that was the most important thing for us.
Of course.
One was used for dial-up, and the other one was for the calls. Uh,
Right. And you
uh,
hadn't taken any funding. This was all like your
no,
savings,
no
right?
funding, no funding. Funding is too new for us. It's too new for that.
Exactly. I think
Actually,
at the
we
time there
tried.
was only one VC in all of Egypt and maybe the whole region. One person, not one company
Actually, there were few.
or
There were
two.
few.
Really? Okay.
Yes, there were few. Yani,
So we'll get to that. Um, so
yes,
I wanted to ask you about. I mean, here you are. You're starting. It's a two-sided marketplace. So it's kind of you have the restaurants on one side, and the restaurants need customers to come, and then you have the customers on the other side, and they need food and restaurants to be interested.
yes.
So it's the typical chicken and egg problem. I'd love to
Mm.
understand, how you approached this problem and how you actually got things started with the marketplace.
Look, we have decided from the beginning that we are going to put as many restaurants as we can. So what
Right.
we did is that we went in the streets, we collected menus, even if you were not able to meet the management to agree on any deal or anything. We'll put you on our database. We give you orders, and when you fill our orders, you will talk to us. That
Right.
was our idea, and actually we managed to meet 3 or 4 or 5 of the large restaurants serious, and we were not welcome at all. They did not like the idea. They did not understand it. They were afraid that we would not be of good quality to them. Perhaps we might not be. We might cause problems, uh, affect their brand, things like this. But actually, we had their menus on our website, working all the time, even if we don't get money from them, because our business model was based on a commission based from the restaurant. But we thought
Right.
that we can postpone the commissions until we have many orders. They will have to pay us if we have many orders, which is
Indeed.
which the case now. Actually, restaurants run after the aggregators, whether they are Talabat menus or whatever.
Right.
They run after them and they want to pay them because they bring them orders.
Right. So that's how, and then you needed to get the orders. So what did you
Yes.
do to do that?
We didn't know yeah, then how to penetrate, how to market ourselves. But what happened is before we launched, or just before we launched, we found a couple of other websites launching, or on the same, almost the same status, and we decided that we three are going to share banners together. So when you open Otlob, you will find a banner for one of the other two, and if you open one of the other two, you will find the banner of Otlob.
Hmm.
And we started talking to our friends and friends of friends, and we got an email list that we sent. I think that was the real start of marketing. It's a cold email. We got a big email list, and we sent to them that here's Outlook, but that this is what we do and things like this. And then we started getting orders. There were not many. We started with 1 order a day, and then 2 orders a day, 5 orders a day, 8 orders a day, 9 orders a day. We were just following up every day how many orders we are getting. They were very few, but actually, we were getting much more visits than the orders, because we
Really?
used to put the restaurant telephone
Menus.
on the website,
Uh,
and we met people, and they said, "Oh, we're stealing you. We go to the website and we get the number and we call the restaurant by ourselves." And we were saying, "Oh, yeah, but okay." We were actually, we intended to put the number, because putting the number on the website costs traffic to come. And when there is traffic, there will be orders.
yep.
So we were getting traffic. We were being known. We went into, there were companies that started living on Oslo. When you go to the company and they tell you, okay, this company is 250-person or 300-person, and all of us open Outlook all the time to order food. Yes, they do not order from us right now, but they are opening Outlook for the information.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
So
we were finding a lot of attraction in the market. People coming to visit to get the things. When we talk to anybody, they say, "Yeah, we heard about you." We find a lot of journalists coming to us and saying that we wanted to write about you. They wrote about us in different newspapers. We were in the Akhbar, I think, Ahram, many of them. We were invited to conferences, talk about Outlook. Uh, Other companies contacted us, and they said, we want to see how we can cooperate together. It was making good attraction, yet no money.
yeah. So, so how did you? When did you know that you had? What at the time the word didn't exist, but product market fit. When did you feel yes, this can be a viable business? I'm sure. I mean, you started very optimistic, obviously, but
Yeah.
but but I'm sure you had like doubts and things you wanted to see. When
No,
did
we were having
you?
doubts for every minute. We were having doubts all the time um, because there were no money in the business. We were spending from our pockets
Mhm,
and no income, very low income, or actually you can say zero income, because even if you have income on paper, but still this income is distributed among a lot of restaurants. That if you go to this restaurant, you will tell him, I have you owe me £5. It's less than
mhm.
the price of a sandwich, so you will not go and get it. So there's no income at all. We were having doubts, but we can see that there is something being cooked, something happening. We don't know how it will eventually make money, but it's coming. It is coming.
Yeah, you had
And
this kind of gut feeling because of all the market pull.
yes, yes.
So, I mean, did you decide at some point to leave your full-time job and focus on this, or did this?
No, not yet. Not yet. Actually, we were still on our jobs. Actually, I had to change job just after the launch of Otlob. And when I was doing the interview, I told them I have Otlob, and I'm telling you this before you hire me, because I would like to talk about Otlob everywhere. So whenever I will meet anybody, I will talk to him about Otlob. So I don't want you to be angry that I'm talking about another business. That's not the one I'm working for. But
Mhm,
the owners then they understood and said, okay, there's no conflict of interest at all, so go on. And in 3 months almost, there was another thing that we started to learn from Otlo. We started to learn many things when we started with this traction. When we were looking at the orders, we didn't know. We thought at the beginning when we were developing the idea that people will order food for their lunch, but we found there are two peaks in the day, every day. There is a lunch peak and there is a dinner peak, something
mm,
between 4 and something between 8 and 10 p.m.
right.
And we didn't know that. We also couple of months or maybe a month after we launched, there was Ramadan, and we thought we were going to close in Ramadan. Actually, we thought to give to stop the website in Ramadan. But what happened is that we found that the website is still growing in Ramadan, and everybody's talking about us. And many people take their breakfast outside, so they order from us through us or get the phones through us. And many people after breakfast and they take their suhoor through our orders as well. And that was a nice surprise for us.
Mm.
The
So at
problem
that
is,
point, what were you growing month over month? Uh, can you remember
yes,
the range?
anything compared to zero is a big number. Yeah. you know,
Of course.
we were growing around perhaps 100% every month, something like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't remember exactly the numbers, but yes, we were growing very well. Uh, and in a couple of months came the idea of financing. There
Mm,
was no idea of financing at the beginning, but I was sitting with a friend who was living in the States. And I told him about the idea and that it's live and it's working. And he was laughing at me. I told him, why are you laughing? And he said, if you were in the States, he was always this friend. He always tries to convince me that I have to live in the States. I have to leave Egypt and go and live in the States. And then
yeah.
he said, look, I told you, if you were in the States, you would have a check with a $1 million dollar on your desk now. Uh, That, that was in late 1999,
Yeah.
before it was in the time of the
Bust.
dot-com boom. Yes, dot-com boom.
Yeah. So it was at
Eh,
the peak of the boom when everything, money was very flowing very easily.
Yes, yes. And he said if you were in the States, a $1 million check would be on your desk just right now. And I said, who? I didn't know. I didn't know anything about VCs or
Yeah.
this money or anything. I was not following what's happening in
Nobody
the
did.
States. So,
Yeah.
it appears there are few who did, but actually not me. So he told me about that, and I said, but we don't have this in Egypt. We don't have people working like this in Egypt for investments. He said, no. I remember, this mutual friend of ours. He is working in this area. Perhaps you could call him and ask him about it. And I called him, and I went and met him. And yes, he was working in investment banking, more in equity. And I explained to him the idea. He did not buy the idea, but he at least um, gave me connections to other two or three persons who might be interested. And in the same time, he thought with me who would be interested to help. He gave me some ideas, and then that was November or early. Yeah, it was almost November 1999.
And
Uh,
when had you started? In
we started in September.
September. So only 3 months. Yeah. Okay.
Only 3 months. Yes,
Yeah.
only 3 months away. Or 2 months actually, 2 months and a
Yeah.
half or so. And that was, yes, November time frame. And when we reached the end of December, or perhaps mid December, I was sure that there will be somebody who's gonna invest with us. In 3 or 4 weeks, I met those few people who might be interested, and I could feel it that one of them will be interested in financing us. Actually, this led me to leave my job. That was the time when I left my job and was full time with Otlob. I
Hmm.
still had doubts, but I thought that giving it all my time might help.
Indeed.
Um, that was by the end of December, or beginning of January. We have been talking with those people who work in, if you would call it a VC, uh, and others. We were getting offers. Sometimes they were, serious offers with numbers, and sometimes just we want to be with you, and how can we be with you, and things like this.
Hmm.
Until in March, beginning of March, we were called by uh, the one who actually bought it, ITWorks. They called us and asked to meet, and we met. I met Yosri. Uh, I didn't know Yosri before. I didn't know ITWorks before. I was just hearing their name because they were our customers on Otlob. And I met him, and he said, "I'm interested to buy the company, the whole company, not invest with you. And actually, we don't want you in the market, in the company, neither me nor Mustafa." It was a surprise. I was when we met, I was going to travel then, after a couple of days, to Jordan to meet another company who was interested in us as well. So I told them, look, okay, I hear you, but I want to listen to the other company as well. When I come back, I'll talk to you. I went to Jordan. It was not a very successful trip. So I came back and I met him, and he actually explained that they have other. He explained to me that he knew the idea since the beginning, and actually he sent us um, two of his partner and a colleague or something. They met us very early, maybe in September, and they offered us how we can help you. But we didn't know then. We didn't know their company. We didn't know their name. We didn't know. We didn't have the vision how they could help us. So it was a nice meeting, and that's it. We didn't even keep their numbers. Uh, he told us we were interested in you since the beginning, but you put us down. So I told him no, we didn't put you down. It was just misunderstanding or something. And now he said we are following you, and we knew the numbers that you want for selling the business, or how you evaluate your business, and we want to buy, we want to acquire. And we have other ideas that you are not here, that you are not part of, and we know how you think of the idea, but our idea is different. So we want other people to manage it for us. I was very reluctant to sell. Actually, we needed the money. It was the best offer. It was the most serious. But being out of the business was not a very appealing idea for me. And I was talking to my partner, Mustafa, and I was explaining to him that I feel that Otlob is my baby. It's not easy to sell your baby. But Mustafa was very realistic. He told me, no, Otlob is not your baby. Otlob is a business that we are doing to make money. And we both have new ideas to develop. We have new things to do. We want to do them. So you claim we'll make this money in 3 years. Why wait for 3 years to make it until we start our new business? Let's make it right now and go and do our new businesses. And I agreed to him. So we sold.
Mhm.
This is
So
the whole story.
yeah, so it's really quite an incredible story. It just shows the speed, when of how things can go once you have traction, and and you really do things the right way, starting from the market backwards, uh,
Yes.
and of course there is an element of the luck of, probably, I expect that Yusri may have heard of you because all his staff was ordering from Otlob very early. And so, you
Yeah.
came under his radar. And then
Yes. That's right.
that's when he started to realize the potential. And he had the vision, to be honest, to do it. Otlob, of
Yeah.
course, has been acquired several times since then, and
It
is now
has.
Talabat here in Egypt. I think the biggest market share in the market in Egypt and
Yes.
the whole region. So it's quite a big part of a very big kind of delivery engine. But I do want to ask you now, do you have regrets? I mean, do you feel you sold too early?
Um, I don't have regrets. Okay. Actually, Otlob, I wouldn't be able to maintain Otlob for this long time until it's
Sure,
evolved. You know, Otlob has
absolutely.
been in the market since 2000, but it hasn't evolved that evolving until it has been the last acquisition, perhaps in 2017 or something. I wouldn't be
Yeah,
able to stay for 17 years maintaining the company. Uh, I wouldn't be able to invest in it, that investment that it needed. Yeah, perhaps if I could keep a small portion or something, that would be a nice idea. But the deal itself was like that. We wanted 100%, so I
yeah.
had to accept. I had to
So,
accept.
do you see lessons for it in terms of timing for exits? When to be acquired, when to go for funding, when to do all that.
Look, I'll tell you something.
Looking back, I mean,
I'm not very
it's
fond of
regrets.
financing. Uh,
Uh-huh.
no regrets, as I told you. But when I talk about financing, I'm not very fond of financing. Actually, I prefer the bootstrapping thing. If you can pay it, go on and do it as long as you can. I understand the business model everybody's doing right now. You get a VC and you work for this VC. It's actually your company, yes, but the VC is putting his money in it, and part of your board. Um, yeah, it's a different business model. Everybody selects the business model that's suitable for him. It's the case by case. If you have the money to start your business, go on and delay the investment as much as possible. If you are successful, if you are not going to be successful unless you get money, then you have to get money. It's actually this is
Right.
what we learned from Otlob. Yani we tried as much as possible to be successful, but there was a minute that we knew we are not going to go any further. We don't have the ability to go any further. So
Hmm.
we need this support.
Exactly.
Support, it's not only financing, by the way. If you go to a VC or a partner, a big partner, or you're being acquired or invested at or anything, it's not only the money, it's also the political support, the experience, this the weight of this partner that you have.
Right. So I guess the lesson learned there is that, if you can grow alone, that's great. That's better, or
Yeah,
that's the
sure.
most independent in your view. But however, there are businesses that do need outside
Of course.
financing and do need outside
Sure.
help, and in that case, that would be the right decision. So it's really depends on the case,
It's a case
so to
by
speak.
case, and it depends
Yeah.
on the person as well. There are persons who are not, they cannot live long in building a company. They need to be they need to
Yeah.
exit as soon as possible because
Indeed.
their presence in the company is as bad as as anything
Mhm.
else. So they need to exit.
Yeah.
That's a good thing
So
for
knowing
both.
yourself is also important.
Yes, sure.
So before we wind up like the Outlook story, is there anything else you want to say about it? Any kind of reflections you have on it?
No, I think we said it all now. So let's jump.
All right. So I mean, after that, you did you founded IT Blocks, which is a great
Yeah.
company, created many products, and it's still like in the market to this day. And also, you've been an exceptional contributor, I must say, to the startup ecosystem. You give like you volunteer courses, sharing your experience with others, and also you do a lot of support. Even I know that a lot of founders come to you for advice and things like that in an informal way as well. um, do you have any like general thoughts about how the startup ecosystem in the region has developed over this period?
Uh, Look, I know there are very good companies that had started using the help of the startup ecosystem, actually using the help of the VCs, using the help of incubators. I think nobody can overlook the role that Flat Six Labs has played, or Indoor Capital when they started investing in the Egyptian companies. There were other VCs long ago. Perhaps they have not been as successful as those. However, uh, same as there are very good companies started, and I wish them all very well, very good luck. There are also other very bad companies in the market that have got investments. I remember I was talking to one of my friends who's a VC, and I told him, "Why are you investing in those people?" And he said, "Look, this is what we have in the market, and we need to invest. These are the people whom we find. There are very poor ideas, poor founders. It's not good to go and it's not very good to democratize everything. Not everyone should be in the ecosystem because if your ecosystem is good, I think if the more good companies you have, uh, the more system would be, and the more people would learn and start other systems. You can look at Kareem, for example, after it has been acquired, how many people out of Kareem stuff got out and started good businesses as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, I understand the idea of starting from the lower level and those accelerators and incubators in the market, but I don't like their outcome yet. They have very very high ratio of poor company.
Hmm. Yeah, I
Perhaps we can. I think it will go back again to to what I always write on, and if you follow my posts on Facebook, it goes to the education system. It goes back to the education system.
yeah.
We really have a
Uh,
very bad education system.
yeah, I would say that's I partially I understand where you're coming from, and at the same time, I think it's a normal maturity cycle for the ecosystem to learn the hard way. How to, who can work in this ecosystem and who can't. Um, and as you said, it's success will breed more success. So, like Kareem
Sure,
has actually created through its employees many very good startups. This will keep happening, and as more and more startups exit, and
I
they
agree.
will create more and more experience. And the same for the VCs and the accelerators and things like that. And as we get outside capital with experience from from the US and Europe, they will also share their experience, and this will add more and more value as
Of
well.
course,
The market is
of
there.
course.
Obviously, we're a huge market. The Arab world is over 300 million people, and so there's a lot that can be done in the market. And so this is like it's the growing pains,
I understand. I understand, and I agree with
as
you. Yes, you're right.
as they say. It
Yeah,
just has to happen. People have to make the mistakes to learn, and it is what it is. Uh, it, it, it-
yeah.
when I reflect on it. So, speaking of the Arab world, I mean, do you see? What do you see are the challenges that we have here that maybe will not be as strong if we were, like your friend said, if you were in the US, you'd have $1 million. What 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 other kinds of challenges do you think people, founders here have that maybe ones in the globe don't have? And what are also the opportunities they might have that others around the globe won't have?
No, Ali, in now in this time, the 2022, we don't have different challenges. Challenges are almost the same everywhere now. On the contrary, we have opportunities because the country has a lot of challenges. So we have a lot of opportunities to start new businesses, and
Exactly.
I think that before this crisis, before the war in Ukraine, um, there were lots of VCs and money on the table. So there were opportunities for getting finance. If this was the main challenge here, many people would invest. So the idea is you start good business, you can build good business. There are a lot of opportunities in the market now. We have a big market, a lot of challenges, and here we are waiting for the solutions to those challenges.
Right. Yeah. I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, the fact that we have so many challenges in the country also creates opportunity.
Yeah,
Like, for
sure.
example, there wasn't a strong public transport system, so there was an opportunity for something like Swivel to create a very big company very quickly in this area.
Yeah.
And you
Mm.
can imagine, many other things of this type.
Everything. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I
You
agree
can
with
you can
you.
also look at I admire a company in Saudi Arabia called Noon. It's not Noon, the e-commerce company.
Right.
It's an education company, and
Yep.
they had a nice idea and they started it few years ago. They started with Egypt using Egyptian
Hmm.
teachers while they're selling in the Saudi Arabia market, but using Egyptian teachers. And then the company has grown in Egypt, in Saudi Arabia, and they opened in Pakistan. They got a lot of investment, and they're growing. And I like the idea
Indeed.
because again, it was a challenge, and they found an opportunity in it, and actually they built it with a good idea. I like
Exactly.
the model.
That's another great example. It just shows how quick you can grow because of all the challenges. I mean, because of the challenges, you have opportunities.
Yes, that's true.
And that's why I'm very optimistic about the Arabian startup market. So I mean, and
Yeah,
I'm gonna like just tell the listeners, that you are also working on an interesting idea that will solve one of the challenges. I know you're not ready to talk about it yet, but
yes.
everyone stay tuned because Ayman is doing
Next
something really
time,
cool,
next time,
which is
we will talk
the
about it.
yeah. Next time I'm gonna have you again on the podcast, inshallah, to talk about it, inshallah.
Inshallah.
So I mean, before I
Inshallah.
wrap up, we have like a quick rapid fire question kind of thing, just some quick questions to close up the podcast. Um, the first one is, do you have any books you like to recommend to people, when it comes to startups or anything in life, actually?
No, I don't recall right now while we're talking a book as a book, but I would always recommend people to read. Reading is a very, or even get, to learn, not only reading. Now there are lots of ways to learn and to get information. Uh, I
Right.
used to read the novels at the beginning. I never liked reading business books or these things. I always liked the novels, but lately I'm getting a lot of information. Actually, I feel it's university by itself on Twitter. Twitter for me is the main source of education right now.
Mm,
Lots of threads, lots of good information,
yeah.
and um, so what I always recommend people is to learn the way they want podcasts,
Right.
YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, but just go on and get the experience and learn from everywhere.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And I think that Twitter and podcasts, especially, are underrated in the region here. People don't realize how much value is there,
Yeah.
especially for our industry.
I'm new to podcasts. I just started a couple of months ago to listen to podcasts, and I found them very interesting. I know people who listen to podcasts on their drive home or drive to work or these things, but I try to listen to them while I walking uh, uh, at night or something. And I find podcasts are very good. If you find a good podcast that you like, the the
Exactly.
the the points that he's talking about, the topics that he covers.
Yep. And
Sure. But
okay, second question.
yeah,
Mm, what do you think of remote work in this? There's a lot of talk about remote work since the pandemic. You think it's good or bad?
again, it's a case by case. Again, it's case by case. Actually, when we used to work in remote work during in 2020, the company was very productive and it was a good idea. However, after the remote work period ended and we went back to work, I think that no, I don't like remote work right for my company at least now. However, I think that we were the new normal that we will all live with is that some people will work remotely and some people will work on the office, and it will be a blended model.
Right. Okay, third question. What is the thing you hate most when you hire someone? What's the thing you hate most when they do?
Look, يعني, the most important thing that I like in every employee is the responsibility. If he is not responsible, this is something that I cannot bear.
Hmm.
Um, Responsibility is the most important thing in any character, in any work, in any
Right.
partnership.
Ownership.
You know, yeah, in the ownership.
Yeah.
Not known. It doesn't have to be ownership. He just has to be responsible. Because if he says something, he has to be to his word. He has to be there for his word. He doesn't have to own the thing. I understand that um, they do not have to own it. There are employees that, yes, you need to have their ownership, but there are the most of the employees you just need to have to be responsible. This is the most
Right.
important.
Okay. Last quick fire question. If you were to guess which industry the first $10 billion startup in the region works in? Which industry do you think it will be in?
Mm, the next largest company, you mean?
Yeah,
I think it will be between education or health.
education or health. Okay.
Of course, fintech is
So,
they have a lot of money. Fintech is money company.
yep.
They- but I would not talk about fintechs because they have a lot of money anyways. But no, I think it would be health. Health.
Interesting. So, I like to close on a note of gratitude. So, I'm going to ask you, can you think of someone who gave you a gift, not necessarily like a physical gift, any kind of gift that you really appreciate and that has helped you in your life? A
Actually,
gift.
it's something that happened recently, a month ago or 6 weeks ago. A friend who is not a very close friend, whom I just met once, uh, he called me, or perhaps I don't remember exactly, but I think he WhatsApped me, telling me that he's in Mecca and he wants to pray for me. And he was asking what would I like him to pray for. It was a surprise, but a
Mm,
very nice surprise, and I owe him this thing. I owe it.
yeah, that he thought of you at that time.
Yes, sure.
Yeah, wonderful. So, thank you very much, Ayman, for your time. Really appreciate it. I'm sure everybody who listened learned a lot about what the first days of a startup could be like. Uh, and I really appreciate this gift of your time.
Thank you very much, Ali. Welcome, and I'm looking forward to the next session to tell you about my new
Absolutely, me
venture.
too. I can't wait.
Sure.
All right, goodbye.
Okay. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Startups Arabia podcast. If there was something you really liked about what the guest said today, reach out to them on social media and tell them what you liked. And of course, if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? You don't want to miss any of our great upcoming episodes. Also, please rate us and give us comments on our social media accounts so that we know how to improve. And also tell us what you like. We don't mind hearing that either. Until next time, this was your host, Ali Zwail.